many things you can do to be a Disney villain. Dress in dark tones, have a good scowling face, call everyone fools, and also have lime green in a scene you're in. Hey guys, I'm Libby and welcome to Punsy's Palace, where I do all things Disney, hence the Punsy, and all things regarding my life and home, hence my palace. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe down below for more Disney and lifestyle content. So, it's Halloween! See? Halloween. Halloween. And what better way to celebrate this wondrous occasion than to talk about Disney villains and colors. Everyone knows the typical Halloween colors. You have black and orange, then you can have some, some added purple in there. But my favorite addition, I must say, has to be lime green. You get lime green from like the witch's face and the bubbling cauldrons, but you also get this color in so many Disney movies during the villain scenes. And why is that? Well, the color green can mean a lot of things. It can mean growth, healing, and nature, but lime green can mean more like things like greed and envy and sickness, more villainous attributes. So I decided to go through as many Disney villains as I could to get an idea of where and when these lime green appearances took place. So we have the big three evil villains at the start: Evil Queen from Snow White, Lady Tremaine from Cinderella, and Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty. And all three have lime green featured pretty obviously. The first time you see the Evil Queen, she is looking into a mirror with a lime green tint, showing her ego. Then the potion she drinks in order to turn into a hag is also lime green, showing her greed to become the most beautiful woman, no matter what the cost. And they also use lime green imagery when she is turning into the old hag. For Lady Tremaine, when you first enter her room, there are some lime green accents in it. And do you notice how one of the stepsister's main color palette contains lime green, and it's the stepsister Drizella who is never redeemed in any of the sequels, unlike Anastasia, who has pink and purple as her colors, and she actually turns good. Anyway, Tremaine is wearing lime green for most of the movie, whether it's on her ring or on a pendant she's wearing, but there's also some lighting that makes her have lime green eyes. Basically, she's evil the whole time because she's wrought with envy because she's jealous of Cinderella. And Maleficent is pretty easy to spot her lime greenness since her first appearance is in lime green fire, and it's a part of her entire color palette. It's purple with lime green, especially in the dragon sequence, so she's deemed evil from the start. Then we have some more classic villains where lime green also makes an appearance. So Cruella de Vil's first appearance is her smoking, and the lime green smoke comes out of her cigarette. It shows that smoking is bad, but also Cruella is bad because she's literally coming into Anita's house to steal her puppies to make coats. So greedy and evil from the start. Then Shere Khan from Jungle Book has some light lime green tints in the background of the vulture scene, which is also the scene where Shere Khan tries to kill Mowgli. And also throughout Jungle Book, they show a really good difference of the green of nature and goodness, and then it transitions into that kind of lime greeny background when Shere Khan enters and to show the evil side of it. Then Captain Hook's big scene on Skull Island where he kidnaps Tiger Lily. There's a lot of green tints in the background and also in the water. Then we have the Queen of Hearts, who, even though her palette is completely red for anger and hearts, she also has lime green make an appearance. When she starts playing the croquet game with Alice, her flamingo and hedgehog are lime green, and like a bright lime green. No coincidence, and also this game is the downfall of Alice in the dream, and that's when the whole nightmare sequence starts to happen, so definitely the villain. Then in the Renaissance films, we get different kinds of villains, but oddly enough, they're still lime green. Gaston's lime green symbol shows up absolutely perfectly. It's when Belle shows everybody the beast in the mirror and it starts sparking lime green. And then Gaston tries to take it away from her, calling the beast a monster.
He's no monster, Gaston. You are.
Then Gaston starts waving the mirror around and it starts sparking lime green again, even though nothing has been summoned to be shown. Gaston is then considered the monster and he starts rallying an angry mob to go and kill this innocent beast. Ursula in The Little Mermaid has a few lime green hints at the beginning before her song, but then when Ariel says yes and Ursula starts casting her spell and her cauldron and everything, there's a lot of lime green that just starts blowing up in your face because Ursula's plan is set in motion, meaning her greed is taking over, color. And we'll see this theme keep reoccurring where somebody signs a contract and then lime green starts to take over either some kind of transformation or just a sign that the villain has won over the protagonist in this exchange. Even in Mulan, Shan Yu has elements of lime green. It's never actually on him and it's a lot more subtle. During the parade scene when everybody is celebrating that the Huns have been defeated, except for Mulan who's actually smart and knows that they aren't, we see a lot of lime green lanterns glowing in the background, as if saying there's still evil lurking here somewhere. And there is, because the Huns are hiding underneath the dragon in the parade and Shan Yu is on top of the roof. Hades also has some lime green appearances, even though his color palette is gray, black, and blue. When Hercules slays the Hydra, there's some lime green guts and blood oozing out of it, which, yes, the Hydra is bad, but who sent the Hydra? Hades. And this is important because it almost kills Hercules. But then we have more lime green come in later when Hercules dives into the sea of dead souls to try to save Meg. And this happens because he makes a deal with Hades for an exchange of his life for Meg's, and he takes it because he's kind of greedy and wants Hercules to die because he hates Hercules' father Zeus so much. And Scar from Lion King is just super obvious with his lime greenness. There's lime green in his eyes, first of all, but then they really ham it up in the Be Prepared sequence. Even before the song starts, his entrance in that scene, they literally puff lime green smoke before he is shown. They really just go for it because Scar is greedy and envious and just plain evil. But we even have lime green in more recent villains, so this isn't just an outdated thing. Dr. Facilier has some lime green accents in his background and for his song, much like with Ursula where Naveen agrees to a contract and then the lime green comes out to play. And Mother Gothel's lime green is so obvious and so well done throughout the entire movie, and it all has to do with one object: her lantern, which is so perfect in contrast to the actual lanterns that Rapunzel wants to go and see. But you first see Mother Gothel with this lime green lantern when she's trying to take the flower's power. And then in her song, you see it again when she mentions the plague, and it's a slight reminder like, hey, she's the bad guy. I know her song's super catchy, but she's the bad guy. And then you see it show up again later with the Stabbington brothers holding it, showing that they are also bad guys, but they're holding her lantern, which shows she is actually behind all of this. Even though she's come to rescue Rapunzel, she's still the bad guy behind it. And then you see it again when she is lit up by this lantern, offering her arms out to Rapunzel, wanting Rapunzel to embrace her. Now, there's also a little bit in Tamatoa scene from Moana, but I don't really consider him a huge villain, but there is some lime green in there. When Moana distracts him with a fake heart of Te Fiti using bioluminescent algae, it's interesting that she uses his greed against him using the color that represents greed. Even Yzma has lime green. There are green candles at Cusco's fake funeral that she throws, and this shows how greedy and evil she is. It's a subtle hint that she's evil, even though her main color is purple. But also in Kronk's New Groove, she's selling a lime green fake potion to people, and again, it's another contract song like Ursula again, so they're pretty obvious with lime green means evil. Even King Candy from Wreck-It Ralph has lime green, and it is done really perfectly too. Like, all the cybugs in the movie, which are another villain, are lime green. And King Candy's assistant, Sour Bill, is literally all lime green. And when King Candy is trying to get rid of Vanellope's code, there's literally lime green sparks as he's trying to get rid of her. And then there's of course also lime green lanterns in the background during the reveal of who King Candy really is. Even somebody like Bill Sikes from Oliver and Company, a lesser known villain, but a villain nonetheless. First entrance, he's smoking, and what color is that smoke? It's lime green. Again, showing that smoking is bad, like with Cruella, but also he's a really terrible person. Even in Lilo and Stitch, they play with your concept of what lime green means. Because as soon as you first see Stitch, there's a lot of lime green accents. Like when he lands on Earth, he's coming down as a lime green comet. But then it starts to go away as you see that he's actually more lovable and he starts to turn more into a protagonist than an antagonist in the movie. There's not really a villain in the story like you could assume that Captain Gantu is, but I don't really see him as a villain. So that's like 19 villains, give or take, and they all have lime green appear in some of the scenes of their movie that they are in. So it's safe to say lime green is very prominent with villains. But wait, I'm missing some big time, famous, massively important villains from the Disney franchises. They didn't have any lime green in them, so they must not be evil? No, they're still evil. The villains who don't have any real presence of lime green within their movies are Jafar, Rourke from Atlantis, Governor Ratcliffe, Clayton from Tarzan, Claude Frollo Frollo, and assistant Mayor Bellwether. I don't think it's any coincidence that these villains don't have lime green either. They do seem to have quite a bit of red that keeps coming up, and dark shadows and stuff like that, but no lime green, which seemed to be a pretty good indicator that somebody was evil and bad, right? And these are villains from many different eras of Disney films, so it's not like they did like 5 Disney films in a row with no lime green. And the reason I think that they left lime green out of these movies is because lime green is meant to mean evil, but a dramatized evil. And the absence of it can mean something even worse. Without lime green's presence in a movie, that just means that the evil in the movie is much more realistic and is acknowledging that that evil is still present in today's world. Let's run through our list of lime green villains and how they are over dramatized before we get to the non-lime green ones. So the evil queen was a jealous woman who wants to be pretty. Lady Tremaine was a jealous woman who hates her stepdaughter. Maleficent was an evil fairy who wasn't invited to the party. Cruella was an evil woman who wanted puppy coats. Shere Khan was just an evil tiger. Hook is a silly pirate who wants revenge. Queen of Hearts is an imaginary lady who has a really bad temper tantrum. Gaston is a jealous man who wants to marry a girl. Ursula is an evil sea witch who wanted a crown. Shan Yu is a Hun, and Huns are real, but they are very Disneyfied and simplified in the movie's retelling, and they aren't really much of a threat anymore because the Huns attacked China in like 300 BC. Then Hades is a Greek god who seeks revenge. Scar's a talking lion who wants to kill his brother. Dr. Facilier is a voodoo man seeking revenge. Mother Gothel is a greedy woman who wants to stay young forever. Tamatoa is a greedy, self-absorbent crab. Yzma is a crazy psycho who wants to rule. King Candy is literally a video game character who went crazy. And Bill Sykes is a dramatization of a corporate dude gone bad. And Stitch and Gantu are literally aliens. So you see how a lot of those motives are based around revenge and jealousy, but it's also things that are over-dramatized as evil because we know revenge, bad, jealousy, bad, but we don't see them in real life in the same way that we see it over-dramatized in these movies. These movies also involve a lot of magic with their villains and a lot of fantasy elements like aliens and gods. So now let's go through the non-lime green villains. We have Jafar, who is mad about power, corrupted by it actually. A theme we see throughout history and very present today. An evil that I don't think will really go away either. There is magic used in this movie, but what better way to show corrupted power than by literally giving somebody magical abilities to where they can do anything they want and use it as a source of power. Rourke from Atlantis is a much lesser known villain, but a good villain nonetheless, and he wants to destroy an entire civilization of people and sell their life force for money. Very greedy, so why doesn't lime green show up? Because it's too relevant to something that still can happen today, and still does happen, where there are people who get their homes destroyed and there are higher-ups who are profiting off of this misfortune, just like Rourke is trying to do with the Atlantis people. Governor Ratcliffe from Pocahontas is all about greed, but no lime green? That's because he's ravaging a civilization and will kill anyone at any point and is super blatantly racist throughout the entire film. Savages is a great song and shows evil on both sides, but at the end of that song, when Pocahontas sacrifices herself for John Smith, we see that the Native Americans come to a realization that they're not so different from them after all, and their hate goes away, while Governor Ratcliffe's hate stays. And it's a lot truer to history and truer to life with that racism still boiling underneath him. Clayton from Tarzan is also super greedy, wanting to sell gorillas for money, but the lime green doesn't appear here either, because he is someone who they thought was a friend the entire time and then turned on them, something that's much more realistic to what could happen today. And he's also trying to kill and sell innocent animals, put them in captivity or outside of their homes, or stuff them and put them in a museum, something that many people still try to do to a lot of animals today, even endangered ones. It's a very prevalent evil, and one that Disney keeps reminding us of throughout several different animal movies, about the abuse that humans can bring into the animal kingdom. And then we have Claude Frollo from Hunchback of Notre Dame, who is a very dark villain and one of, I think, Disney's darkest films, and somehow it's still rated G. He is envious and corrupt, and he uses his faith in a callous nature, and he is tormented by sexual desire, so much so that he wants to kill and murder people just because of it. The whole movie is about a genocide of an entire population of people, the gypsies. It's very dark and very realistic of how corrupt actual politicians can be, and how people in power think that it's okay to end entire civilizations of people because they don't think of them as people, but much more like vermin. And then there's Assistant Mayor Bellwether. So she's a twist villain, another one who you think is a friend the whole time and then it turns out that she's actually evil. But I think she only got turned into this kind of villain because Disney needed a way for this movie to end, and there's no real cut and dry way to solve racism, so they decided to make an evil figurehead that the protagonist could destroy, and then it would have a happy ending, right? Yeah, but the overall theme of this movie is about racism and how detrimental it can be to people and to a society. Something that is very real and doesn't need the help of any lime green hints or accents in the movie to help show you how bad this can be. It's a very good contrast to Lion King, where there's also a bunch of fun animals, but Zootopia doesn't need that lime green evil villain song to show you that the villain can be literally anyone. The villains are everyday animals, only afraid of people who aren't like them, thus causing and perpetuating this racism. So in the end, all of these villains that don't have a lime green presence, it's because their evil is something that's so realistic and so prominent still in today's society. You don't need lime green to tell you that these things are evil and to show kids that there's evil everywhere, not just in fairy tales, but in everyday life. Alright guys, and that's my in-depth analysis on colors with the Disney villains. I know this video got really dark, but you know, what better way to get really dark on than on Halloween? I hope you enjoyed this analysis, and leave a comment down below on which villain was your favorite and your general thoughts on this whole idea about colors in Disney villains. If you like this video, I hope you give it a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe down below for more Disney and lifestyle content. And until next time guys, farewell.